everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. We're going to get started with some good news. As somebody who works in media, I cannot stand the old phrase, the old saying, which actually is still relevant today, like if it bleeds, it leads. You know what I mean? This goes back to like newspaper days. This is something that I still see when I see commercials or ads for the nightly news. They always lead with like drama and the sky is falling and the world is terrible. And I absolutely hate it. Like even the way the programming sits, like as you watch the show, it's always like doom and gloom first. And then, oh, maybe if we get to the feel good stuff, we'll get to the feel good stuff. I can't stand that. So we're going to start off with some good news. And I thought this was really interesting. If you're a follower of Christ, there's a scripture that talks about how powerful our mind is. There's actually so many verses in the Bible that talk about this. You will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's also the verse in Proverbs, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, meaning what you're ruminating on, what you're thinking on, what you're dwelling on, you are naturally going to gravitate toward and ultimately become. And neuroscience is now backing this up. This is not like just Christian speak or anything like that. Like this is real stuff. There's been studies that have been done over decades that basically say that cognitive neuroscience research shows that expectation and belief influence how the brain interprets reality, impacting emotional responses and decision making. So not only is the way that you think and what you choose to dwell on, is it affecting how you're viewing life and how you're taking things in, but it's also directly affecting how you respond to it on an emotional level, but also how you take action on things or lack thereof. So think about that this week. We've talked about this a lot in the podcast. Think about what you're thinking about. It really does matter. And there's certain thoughts that might pop up into your brain. You don't have to chase those. You don't have to get on that train. You don't have to punch your ticket to that bus and go with it wherever it's going. Like you can choose not to engage. You know what I mean? So I just thought that was so fascinating. There's so many studies these days that are coming out that are like, oh yeah, God kind of knew what he was doing. God knew, like, he created this stuff. And it's like science is starting to like catch up with like what he intended for us to be, intended for life to be, his principles, his way of doing things. Like, duh, he's the designer. He's the one that made the device, and that's why the device operates the way that it does. But we are wrapping up our garden series, our Cultivated Life series. I wanted to do this for spring because I've been spending a lot of time outside, getting really excited about the growing season, getting really excited about spring in general. My goal this year is to be engaged with the garden that I have, the flower beds that I have out front, because I haven't always done that. I get excited about planting things. I get excited about pretty things. I can buy a lot of stuff at Lowe's. And then it's like I get home and I plant it, forget about it, or kind of adopt like the crock pot mentality of like set it and forget it. And then it dies, or it gets overgrown, or it gets a disease, or it doesn't thrive and survive. And I'm so tired of that. I also got tired of replanting everything every year. And I learned there's these thing called perennials rather than annuals. Perennials are supposed to come back every single year. Annuals do not. You have to replant them. So I'm learning a lot. And throughout this series, we've talked about clearing out the bad stuff and getting rid of weeds and stuff like that. Not because we're trying to actually become gardeners, but because flower beds and gardens can be such a metaphor for life. They can be such a visual representation of our lives. And so clearing out stuff that no longer serves us, getting rid of stuff that can become invasive, like weeds and pests. We also talked about pruning back even the good things. I pruned back my roses and a couple of other things that I have out there, and they're already growing back stronger. Like my rose bush right now is like, it's crazy blooming right now, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm so proud of it. But that's because I trimmed it back, I treated it, I made sure that it was ready to grow even bigger and better than it has in the past. And sometimes you do have to cut back even good things to make sure that you're getting the ultimate growth in the future. And then we got into planting seeds, which is always like so exciting in life when you think about what you could implement in your life, when you think about dreams and goals, when you think about even just good habits that you want to implement into your life, or fostering and strengthening relationships. There's a lot to look forward to in the spring season when it comes to planting things. And you get a lot of hope, when you start putting things into the ground. And so that was a fun series, or a fun week to experience last week. But what I want to talk about today is tending the garden. I think like myself, like I told you, I would plant things and then forget about them, and then they would die. So learning how to tend to the garden, learning how to be out there consistently makes a huge difference in making sure that the things that are growing out there are growing well. As I walk out there, I can see, oh, this little weed is coming in. I can pull it out really easily, rather than walking out like after a month and a half and being like, why is this overgrown with weeds? And then having to spend hours pulling all those weeds, which is so annoying and obnoxious and definitely not good for, a growing garden. But I can also get out there and say, oh, like, there's a little bit of disease that's coming on my roses. I can trim that off and, treat it. Or, oh, actually the stuff that I trimmed back is already growing back fairly quickly. I can trim it back again before it becomes this like Jumanji jungle that I'm like, I can't even figure out where the actual plant is because it's so overgrown. Getting out consistently and regularly makes such a difference when it comes to tending a garden, when it comes to, taking care of the flowers that you've planted. It's incredibly important in life as well. You might have set some resolutions for yourself at the beginning of the year, and they were well intended. Like, you were so excited about them. You said, this is going to be my year. I've set all this stuff up and I'm going to make it happen. And here we are, it's April, and you haven't even thought about those resolutions. You haven't checked in to see if you're getting any progress. You haven't reevaluated them to think like, oh, maybe I can, approach this in a different way so I can actually be more successful with it. Or the way that I thought I could go about it wasn't working. So it's not the habit that's bad or the goal that I set for myself that's bad. It's the approach that I have that is bad. See, getting out and taking note and taking stock of the things that you've planted and the things that you've set forth in your life and have pushed toward is incredibly important if you're ever going to be successful at it. You can't just do one thing one time and expect it to be everything that it's supposed to be. You can't cook one meal for your kids and expect them to be nourished for the rest of their life. You can't work out one time at the gym and expect to be healthy and fit for the rest of your life. You can't say I love you one time to your partner and expect it to be fulfilling for them for the rest of their lives, for them to continue to feel that love for the rest of your relationship. Like, it pays to get in there and continue to tend and care for the things that are important to you. And what that comes down to is consistency. Well, how do you be consistent with something? You set up systems that are going to make it easy for you to be consistent. You need systems that actually work and that you stick to so you can see progress in any aspect of your life, whether it's your relationships or your job or this brand new business venture that you're launching, or maybe you're picking up a new hobby. Like, you've got to set up systems in order for you to tend to those things, okay? And what this comes down to really is 3 specific things. And being a preacher's kid, they all start with E. Love alliteration. Side note, I was at the liquor store the other day and this guy was like talking to me about wine because I was trying to find a nice bottle of wine for my husband. And he pulled one out and he goes, well, this one, it's Italian. It's the only Italian one that we have. It's not necessarily like meant for special occasions. It's more of like a porch pounder or a patio pounder. And I was like, nice alliteration. And he was so impressed that I knew what alliteration was. And yes, I did end up buying it. But it's just one of those things that helps it's easier for you to remember if, they all start with the same letter. So that's what we're going for here. But when you're setting up systems that work, you have to keep in mind engagement, education, and efficiency. So engagement is basically what we're talking about right now. Being engaged with the goal, being engaged with the habit, being engaged with the person in your life, all of these things that are important to you, being engaged with them on a regular basis is so crucial. Preferably, you would be engaged with them daily on some scale, whether it's some small scale or a large scale. Like daily is ideal for anything that you're chasing, just checking in and making sure that you're making progress. If it's a relationship that you're trying to boost or care for or repair, daily things are going to help move that process forward faster, and also make it so that it's like a strong engagement every single day. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to feel like they've been forgotten each and every day. So if it comes to your relationships and trying to strengthen those, like try to check in with people on a regular basis. I can't imagine not speaking to or hearing from my husband every single day. You know what I mean? Like it's important for us to make that connection. Now there's going to be some crazy exceptions to the rule. Like there may be opposite schedules or different time zones or whatever. Like if I'm traveling for work, if he's traveling for work, it may make it difficult, but just something every single day to pour into that person is so important. Something to pour into whatever goal you've set for yourself, something to pour into whatever habit you're chasing, whatever it may be for you. It's important if that's every single day. If it can't be every single day because whatever you're chasing doesn't lend itself to that, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly, at the very least quarterly. Like you've got to be in there checking up on things. These are like regular doctor's appointments, like you got to be in there looking at it. And if something is important to you, it should be checked on regularly. I think about the flower beds. I've made that like my thing this year. Like I want them to be beautiful. I want them to be cared for. And it used to be that I would let things go for weeks because, as I was driving up the driveway, I'm like, it looks all right. I wasn't actually in the flower bed. I wasn't actually in the garden looking at things up close. So from the outside looking in, everything looked great. But once I got in there, I was like, oh, there's actually weeds here, or this is dying, or this is getting too much sun. And so I've worked things around where I can actually at least just walk through once a day. Put my eyes on it once a day. And if there's something I can handle right then and there, because it only takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then I'll handle it. But if it's something that's like going to take a little more time, or I'm going to get a little more dirty than I was intending to, then it's like, okay, now I can figure out when I can fit this in this weekend or maybe later in the week and find a time and schedule it. But getting out there, getting your eyes on things that are important to you every single day is incredibly important. If not every single day, I would say every other day, every single week, just checking in on the things that you've planted. Because, if you've dreamed these beautiful dreams, it's important for you to be in them. I think about one of the goals that I set for myself this year is to read my Bible every single day. Scratch that, reverse it. My goal is to read the entire Bible. That has translated into I'm reading it every single day. And if I'm not going to be available one day, I'll read ahead or I'll catch up. But I'm trying to stay on course with my 1-year Bible that I've bought. And I'm loving this. So it has like every single day what you're supposed to read. Let me find a page that actually has one of those things on there. So like January 21st. This is what I'm reading for January 21st. Makes it so easy. Plus, it's really fun to see how far I've made it, because we're in April now. I can see the bookmark like literally through like going through the book. That makes it even more like motivating for me. But again, this is something that is helping me accomplish a goal, and it's getting me involved with my goal. It's getting me engaged with my goal every single day. And that leads me to the next thing, which is education. Finding something that can help you achieve the goal, achieve the habit, whatever you're trying to do is so valuable. You don't know what you don't know. And I will tell you, I have always wanted to read through the entire Bible and I've never done it. I attempted it last year and maybe made it through 5, 6, 7, 8, probably like 6 books. And that was it. And then I kind of just like, it fell to the wayside. It wasn't an important habit to me last year, but it is this year. I was so resistant to getting a 1-year Bible. I was so resistant to having something tell me what to read every single day. It's just a pride thing. It's like, I don't need to be babied through this. Actually, if you're not accomplishing the goal that you've set for yourself, maybe you do need to be babied through it. Do you hear me? I'm going to mother you for a second here. If you're not getting where you want to be, obviously you need help. Obviously you're still in the elementary phase, and it would behoove you to get a little help, get a little education so you can better achieve the goal that you have. Again, you don't know what you don't know. And so for me with the flower beds and all the things that I've planted, I've had to learn how to care for those specific things. We talked a little bit last week of even planting the seeds, knowing what environment to put those things in where they're going to thrive, where to put things in your schedule where you're actually going to stick to them as far as habits go, or where you're going to set benchmarks for yourself so you can actually achieve the goals that you've set for yourself, what priorities you're going to put in place so that way you can actually spend time with your spouse or spend time with your kids in an intentional way. This is all important before the seeds even go into the ground. But then once they're in there, you got to know how to care for those things. And so I now have an app on my phone that will tell me your plant looks healthy, your plant doesn't look healthy. I regularly Google things. I regularly read the tags on everything that I bought to plant because, you know, when you buy flowers or something at Lowe's or Home Depot, there's care things on the little card that tells you what you're buying. So if you have hydrangeas, it'll tell you how to treat your hydrangeas, how to make sure they have the most beautiful color, you know, and I'm not at that advanced level yet of like, what does the pH level need to be of your soil? I'm not there yet. But as far as like how often to water, how much sun to give them, I'm learning about that. I had to seek out resources, seek out tools to help me better accomplish what I'm trying to do. And for you, you know, if you're looking to implement a new habit of like working out, learning about different workouts or different resources available to you, whether it's different gyms or different classes that you can take, or even just learning like when it's going to be best for you to work out, you know, when it's going to fit in your schedule. You can also find education in yourself, you know, just taking note of like, oh, this isn't working for me anymore. I need to make a change. But also seeking out people that know what they're doing. I think about when I started my fitness journey, one of the reasons why I was so successful is because I attached myself to a really good friend who was already doing CrossFit, and her motivation, her excitement for it, her knowledge of the workouts made it so much easier for me to get over that initial hump of I don't know what I'm doing to, oh, I'm in it now and I'm learning and I'm starting to get better at this. So seek out, you know, education, whether it's classes or books or, you know, resources that are available to you, or even just people. I think a lot about even just like the older people in my life, you know, that I have, you know, family members that I love and respect, mother-like figures that I have in my life now that my mom is not here anymore, and my dad, like seeking out wisdom from them on certain things is also incredibly educational. So, you know, whether you're seeking out relationship advice or you're seeking out business advice, you know, because maybe you have somebody in your family who's older who's done a business and done it well, you know, or somebody that knows finances. There's nothing wrong with reaching out. There's nothing wrong. I'm going to give you permission to say this. There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the best practices are. I don't even know what's going to work for me. But researching and figuring out what does work is going to make you more successful. And if you have to find a coach, get a coach, for crying out loud. You know, I think about people, my husband said this to me before with working out. He's like, if I could just have somebody to yell at me and tell me what to do, he's like, it'd be so much easier to work out. So that's why people get personal trainers. That's why, you know, athletes have coaches. That's why big businesses have business coaches, you know, like they're always looking for the thing that's going to help them improve. So don't be afraid to say, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it's overwhelming because there's so much information, but you gotta get through it. Like you gotta get into the mud of all this information to figure out what is real and what works and what doesn't work, and then move accordingly. Don't be surprised if, you know, you start doing something that's new in your life that you've never done before, like a resolution, like a new habit, and you feel like you're so lost. It's okay. Everybody feels lost at the beginning when they're trying something new, but they don't let that stop them. So please don't let it stop you. And also don't let the opinions of other people stop you either. You know, oftentimes it's their own insecurities that are coming out, and they will discourage you, or they'll hide it behind concern. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm just so concerned about you chasing after this. It just seems really, really big, or I don't know." Like, and they'll be like, "I don't know." Yeah, they don't know because it's not on your heart to pursue it. It's not their goal. It's not their dream. It's not what they're chasing. Okay. You'll find the people that are on the same path as you. You'll find the people that are excited about what you're trying to do. Latch on to those people, and I'm not saying you need to cut out the other people completely, but maybe you think about how much of a voice they actually have in what you're chasing. Because if somebody's going to cut you down just because you don't know something, ain't worth your time. Let's just put it that way. So engagement, education. Our final thing is efficiency. One of the things I think that holds us back, aside from fear and, feeling like we don't know what we're doing and we feel foolish for even trying to do those things, is figuring out the time that we're going to do it. So I wrote on here, how can you get the most, aka results, while doing the least, aka putting in time? I don't want to say effort, because I think if something is really important to you, you're gonna put the effort into it once you figure out when you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, I hear people say this all the time, like when they're chasing their dreams, they're like, "Oh, if I just had a week where I didn't have to work and I didn't have this on my plate and I wasn't so stressed, I could get so much done." That's what holds us back. It's time that holds us back more than anything else. It's not knowing what we're doing. It's not the opinions of other people. Those are factors, don't get me wrong. But I feel like more often than not, we just don't know when we're going to do it. And it's such an easy excuse for us to throw out there and not do it in the first place. You know what I mean? So when I think about the flower beds in the garden, what has worked for me is to find a time every single day to go out there and check on them that is attached to what has become a non-negotiable. We've talked about habits before. This is habit stacking, One thing that is a non-negotiable for me is my morning routine. It is always the same. I get up, I prep my shows, I go out and work out, I walk my dog, and then I get ready for actual work. And though, like, that does not change throughout the week. So if the getting up and working out and walking my dog is the non-negotiable, well, I can tack on another 5 to 10 minutes on that non-negotiable and knock out something else that is important to me. So now it's like I get up and get the workout in, I go for a walk, and when I come back, I walk the flower beds and I check on everything. I talk to my plants as well, because I heard that's like, you should do that. Like, they hear you. You should also smell the flowers and stuff like that. Like, they respond to that. Do I sound like a crazy person? This is legit. Google it, okay? Chat GPT it, for crying out loud. Somebody out there will agree with me on the internet. Therefore, it's true. But again, I'm attaching the new thing that I'm trying to establish as a habit onto something that is already a habit for me. And then at night, I go out one last time. The last time that I take my dog out, I go one last time just to check on it. The sun is setting. I get to see the sunset. I get to thank God for another beautiful day, and also check the flower beds. What this does for me is it gets me out there every single day. It gets me that engagement. But also it allows me a little bit of wiggle room. So if I don't make it out in the morning because it's raining, we've had a lot of rain the last couple of days, then I can do it in the evening if it's not raining. Or if I go out with girlfriends or family or have a date night and I don't check on them at night or check the flower bed at night, I can check it in the morning. There's a little bit of wiggle room there. Again, that is what I have figured out that works for me as I'm trying to implement something new, as I'm trying to be incredibly engaged and intentional with something that I have determined is important to me. You're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to start thinking about, okay, there are things in my day already that are quote unquote non-negotiable. They're habits, they're autopilot. I don't even think about them. I just get them done. What is it that you could attach to that non-negotiable, to that already established habit, that would help you achieve the new goal, the new habit, the new intention that you have set for yourself? And that just takes you spending a little time analyzing your day, but also a little bit of trial and error. When I first started my fitness journey, I worked out in the afternoon. I thought it was great. I'll get all my stuff that I need to get done. I don't have to get up early. It's fantastic. And I'll work out in the afternoon. That worked great until I was working out in the garage in July in the South. It's hot. So, didn't work for me. I was not as motivated to do it. I was making up excuses not to work out. And so I had to find a different time in the day that worked better. And I redid my morning schedule. I figured out a new routine. And now it's like easy money. It's good. Another habit that I've implemented, we talked about me wanting to read the Bible this year. I have attached this to my morning routine. When I get up and I'm, going through news stories and I'm pulling stuff for my shows and I'm, looking for things that I can write about later in the day for, the website or social media or whatever, I spend the first 15 minutes doing this before I even do that. So again, just found a pocket, found a little window of opportunity with something I was already doing that I could attach something else that's really important to me. And again, because I'm doing it every single day, this is an easy addition to my day. This takes 15 minutes. It doesn't take 5 hours. This doesn't take an entire afternoon. It just takes 15 minutes. And I think that's also one of the things that will surprise you is how little time you need to devote to something if you are actually fully engaged in it. If you can promise yourself, all right, I'm gonna give myself 20 minutes, but it's distraction free and I am in it, I think you'll be surprised how much you can get done in those 20 minutes or in those 15 minutes or in that 30 minutes or whatever you've decided for yourself that's gonna be the time that you get that stuff done. I've seen things online from motivational speakers and other people that are in this field of, self-help and personal development. It's like they set an admin hour for themselves. So like all of those tasks, like following up with appointments, confirming appointments, making new appointments, figuring out what you're gonna, meal plan this week, or putting together a grocery store list, or, what errands you're gonna run this week. Like they set aside an hour or whatever, time slot they need every single day for them just to knock that stuff out. It allows them to not have to worry about them the rest of the day, but also in that hour, in that time slot that they've set for themselves, it's like, game on, get it done. And it's beneficial for people. One thing that I've been testing out for myself is trying to be really intentional about when I can actually do the things that need to get done, rather than just saying, I have to do it, and then waiting for the perfect opportunity. It's like, no, I know how my day works on a regular basis. How do I fit in the things that I need to get done, and then scheduling that stuff out on my calendar. So if I need to, I don't know if I told you this, but we have submitted our dog for Chewy for modeling. So if I need 10 minutes to submit his vaccination record so he's up to date in their database, like I put that in the calendar. I don't wait for an opportunity to do that. I say, oh, actually, I can do that, 10 minutes before I take my lunch break, or, the 10 minutes after I eat dinner, or just scheduling it in some time where I can actually get it done. So again, if you're going to do that, if you're going to find a time in your day, every single day, to be engaged with something, you have to be actually engaged with it. Make the promise to yourself, keep the commitment that you have made, put it in the calendar, make it a non-negotiable, eliminate distractions so that way you can actually do what you have set out to do. Like if I go out and check on the flower bed, I don't take my phone with me because I don't need to be scrolling on Instagram. That wastes my time. I only have a limited amount of time to get out there and check on it. So I'm not going to waste it by being distracted by something else. You know what I mean? So finding that balance, finding what works for you to get the things done that you need to get done. And then also understanding that you might have tasks that are bigger than you initially thought. A lot of times the things that we procrastinate on, the things that we fall short on, the things that we put on the back burner, don't take that long. We've just made them bigger in our mind than they actually are. There's times when I'm like, oh, I gotta call and get this appointment set up. I gotta get the air conditioning checked on before, summer comes, I gotta set time to do that. It's a 3-minute phone call, or a 3-minute check some boxes on the website appointment set, but for whatever reason, we're like, I'll do that at another time. When I have free time, I'll do that. But there are some other things where you get into it and you're like, actually, this is going to take more of my time and more of my mental energy than I thought. Let me find another time in my schedule where I can devote that time to it. So for me, like writing the book, I can't always sit down and do something every single day. It might come to that, but like I want to devote good time to it. So where can I fit like a good couple of hours for me to be distraction free and dive into it? So be aware of the little things that you can get done every single day, but also the big things that may need to be addressed later down the road on another day. This has been a fun series, hasn't it? To wrap up this tending of the garden, remember, you want to be engaged with it on a regular basis. You want to continue to educate yourself on whatever you're chasing. You may find, like, you might have a goal for yourself that you've set, and it's going well right now. You're feeling good about it. You're tending the garden. The roses are blooming. They're so beautiful, and you're so proud of them. But there might be some new technology, some new products out there that would make things even better for you, or even easier for you, or even more efficient for you. So learning new systems, learning new things is important, whether your goal is working or not, especially if it's not working. But even if it is working, it might be good for you to continue that education. I'm learning there's so many resources with this podcast that I can use now. It's way easier to edit video. It's way easier to, upload and get things out. Like, it's way easier. There's so many other apps out there. It's not just iMovie or Final Cut Pro or Adobe. What was there was a video editing one. It just went out of my head. We used it in college, but we used a lot of Final Cut Pro as well. There's so many other things that you can do, and you can do it right there on your phone. It's crazy. So you might find some ways to quote unquote, quote, delegate a task to technology to handle it for you. And then finally, finding ways to be more efficient. You may find those in education. You may find those in just finding a better way to schedule things out and put things in your day where it's not an arm and a leg to make it happen. It's just maybe 5-10 minutes. Okay. But thank you for being a part of this Cultivated Life series. Just to recap it, we talked about pulling weeds, pruning the overgrowth, planting the seeds, and prioritizing even greater growth. Yes, those were all P's. The alliteration is back. But thank you for joining me. Make it a good week for yourself. Again, we're looking for little things throughout the day that we can be doing to move ourselves forward. Like we've talked about before, you are always either moving towards your goals or moving away from your goals, and the decision is yours. I'll see you next week.